The issue of conflating what Ukraine did and what Russia did has been, I think, at the heart of some of the criticism you've received. Michael Gerson, who's no liberal columnist in the Washington Post, certainly not a fan of President Trump either, I'll grant you that. But here's what he wrote about your appearance. He said this: politicians such as Kennedy must know the truth about Russia aggression, but still they choose to suck up to the president by reflecting his mania and sharing his blind spots. Loyalty to Trump among Republicans is proved by the loosening of all other loyalties to truth, to honesty, and to the national good. By this measure, Kennedy is profoundly loyal to the president. Simply uttering this conflation on Ukraine and Russia, the inference is you're doing the president's dirty work here. Do you accept that criticism?
Well, I like Michael Gerson. I haven't met him, but I know he's a smart guy, and I read his columns now and again. I disagree with him. I think both Russia and Ukraine meddled in the 2016 election. I think it's been well documented in the Financial Times, in Politico, in The Economist, in the Washington Examiner, even on CBS, that the Prime Minister of Ukraine, the Interior Minister, the Ukrainian Ambassador to the United States, the head of the Ukrainian Anti-Corruption League, all meddled in the election on social media and otherwise. They worked with a DNC operative.
Did you
against the president? In fact, can I make one more point, Chuck?
Sure.
Can I make one more point?
Yeah.
In fact, in December of 2018, a Ukrainian court ruled that Ukrainian officials had violated Ukrainian law by meddling in our election, and that was reported in the New York Times.
Were you
now? Is there meddling?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Were you briefed by the intelligence? According to the New York Times a couple weeks ago, U.S. senators were briefed after Fiona Hill's testimony that actually this entire effort to frame Ukraine for the Russian meddling of 2016, of which you just made this case that they've done it, that actually this is an effort of Russia propaganda, that this is a Russian intelligence propaganda campaign in order to get people like you to say these things about Ukraine. They're trying to frame Ukraine. You apparently were briefed about this in the United States Senate by intelligence officials. Are you at all concerned you're doing Russian intelligence work here?
I was not briefed.
You didn't attend that briefing?
And listen, Dr.
You didn't attend the briefing on that?
And Dr. I wasn't briefed. Dr. Hill is entitled to her opinion. But when the Economist magazine...
When does opinion become fact? Does 17 intelligence services saying it? Does every Western intelligence ally saying Russia did this? I'm just sort of confused. At what point is it no longer an opinion for you?
I don't think it's an opinion. I think it's a fact. I believe the reporting by the Politico magazine.
You just said Fiona Hill. You just said Fiona Hill gave an opinion.
I believe the reporting by the Financial Times. I believe the reporting by the Washington Examiner. You should read the articles, Chuck. They're very well documented. And I believe that a Ukrainian district court in December of 2018 slapped down several Ukrainian officials for meddling in our election as a violation of Ukrainian law. Now, I didn't report those facts. Reputable journalists reported those facts. Does that mean that the Ukrainian leaders were more aggressive than Russia? No, Russia was very aggressive, and they're much more sophisticated. But the fact that Russia was so aggressive does not exclude the fact that President Poroshenko actively worked for Secretary Clinton. Now, if I'm wrong, and if all these journalists are wrong...
I mean, my goodness, wait a minute. Senator Kennedy, you now have the president of Ukraine saying he actively worked for the Democratic nominee for president. I mean, now come on. I mean, I got to put up... You realize the only other person selling this argument outside the United States is this man, Vladimir Putin. This is what he said on November 20th. Thank God nobody is accusing us anymore of interfering in U.S. elections. Now they're accusing Ukraine. Well, let them sort this out among themselves. You just accused a former president of Ukraine. You've done exactly what the Russian operation is trying to get American politicians to do. Are you at all concerned that you've been duped?
No, because you just read the articles. Do you believe The Economist magazine is a reputable Journal. It's been around, I think, since 1843.
Do you think there's a difference in criticizing? Do you think there's a difference in a country criticizing a presidential candidate who essentially endorsed another country's invasion and annexation of a part of their country as equivalent to what Russia did with the DNC?
Well, let me put it this way, Chuck. Let's suppose, and I don't believe it, but you're right, and I'm wrong. Then what harm would it do to allow the President of the United States, who has a demonstrated record fighting foreign corruption, to introduce evidence?
Why doesn't he?
What harm would it do?
He has been provided every opportunity to provide exculpatory evidence on any of this, and they have chosen not to.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
Rounds 1 and 2 by Speaker Pelosi and Chairman Schiff are as rigged as a carnival ring toss, and we both know that. If I were a prosecutor and I were prosecuting you for a felony and I went to a federal judge and I said, Judge, we both know Chuck's guilty, so let me call witnesses. Give me an order that he can't call any witnesses. He can't cross-examine my witnesses. He can't offer any rebuttal evidence. His lawyer can't even be there. You know what that federal judge would do?
Right. Well, that wasn't the trial. You're going to get a trial.
He'd either put me in handcuffs or he'd put me in a straitjacket because I'd be sanctioned.
This White House,
and that's what's happened here.
Senator, this White House has not cooperated on any oversight at all. Have they not brought some of this upon themselves?
Have they allowed the president to call his own witnesses? No. Have they allowed him to have his lawyer present? No. Have they allowed him to offer rebuttal evidence? No. Have they allowed him to cross-examine the witnesses that were handpicked by Speaker Pelosi? No. Now, whether you like the president or you don't,
okay,
we both, I know, agree with due process. Nobody is above the law, Chuck, but nobody's beneath the law. And the Bill of Rights is not an a la carte menu. It's not.
We will leave it there. Senator Kennedy, Republican from Louisiana.